Welcome to Season 3 of Swiss Impact with Banerjis. I'm Sveta.
And I'm Ben.
The topic of Season 3 is Impact Investing, the new normal. Do you also want to do something meaningful for our planet and people, or invest with impact?
Then our amazing and powerful guests who are business owners, heads of financial institutions, thought leaders, political leaders, policymakers, investors, and experts.
And with our global partners, with this program, we want to achieve the goal together for the humanity. Let's start Season 3 and traveling actually very, very far to Hong Kong. And let's not let our amazing guest wait any longer and invite him in studio. So welcome, Mr. Laurence Li.
Hello, Ben. Hello, Sandra. Good afternoon. And good evening to myself.
So welcome, Laurence. So for our viewers, Laurence is the chairman of the Financial Services Development Council, known as FSDC from Hong Kong. The FSDC is an advisory body to the Hong Kong SAR government on all matters relating to the development of Hong Kong as an international financial center. It engages the industry in formulating proposals to promote the further development of the financial service industry of Hong Kong and to map out the strategic direction for the development.
And I'd like to add also that Mr. Li's profession is practicing barrister. He focuses on banking, commercial, company, and securities law. Earlier, Laurence worked with the Securities and Futures Commission in Hong Kong, and before that, at a law company in New York. You are a judge of the International Court and Regulatory Tribunal in Doha, Qatar, fellow of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and honorary fellow of the Asian Institute of International Financial Law at the University of Hong Kong, and a senior fellow at the Center for Financial Regulation and Economic Development at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Wow. Impressive.
How do you manage that in 24 hours?
I'm impressed by you being able to go through all of that. I hope my staff hadn't required it. It's really a bit of a mouthful. Could I suggest two things? Just remember two things. One, half my time, I'm the chairman of the FSDC. That is a funny animal that the Hong Kong government has created that is publicly funded, but entirely led by private sectors. And our job is mostly to criticize the government nicely and politely about how the regulators and the government authorities can do better to make Hong Kong an even better international financial center. And the other half of my time, I'm a litigator. And the only thing you need to remember is I wear a wig.
The good old times.
Sounds great. Sounds great, Laurence.
But you're litigating in Hong Kong or in Qatar or in China?
I am based in Hong Kong. I hear cases from Qatar by over the internet, and I mostly go to court in Hong Kong, where we have the British tradition of common law system, and that's where I wear a wig like most barristers in London.
Exactly. So we just wanted to ask if you can introduce yourself shortly with something which we have forgotten, and maybe a little bit about the activities of FSDC for our international viewers.
Let me focus on FSDC. As I've said, it's a funny animal, and in many ways it actually reflects exactly how the Hong Kong government is committed to making Hong Kong an even better international financial center. As you know, we are the leading center in Asia. We are easily the most international and the most diverse in all our respects: banking, securities, insurance, provident funds, private equity, so on and so forth. And about 7 years ago, the Hong Kong government had a bright idea that it needs to find something that is cross-sectoral. It needs to find a body that cuts across all these sectors. And on top of that is they need to find a body that is willing to criticize the government. So you basically internalize the ever need to improve. And so what they did was they went to the legislature and they got public funding to fund a privately led platform. The FSDC has a board of 18 directors, only one of which is ex officio, is the Minister for Financial Services and the Treasury. And the chairman, myself, plus 16 other board members are all drawn from the private sector. And our job is to advise the government on where they haven't been doing as well, and also, as importantly, where we can look forward to doing strategic moves and things that are ahead of others.
Yeah.
And before I go to the next question, I just wanted to add that it's really good that you're doing it, because my personal opinion is that the banks here still are too much in their financial project. They do not still have the link with the business or link with the private sector. So they make beautiful plans. I'm sure you must have read the plans of European Investment Bank and all that. But very little comes on the ground level because they don't have the connection which you have with the private sector, with the business, with the project. It's really good. I think Europe can learn a lot from you.
Well, in many ways, Hong Kong was forced into that position historically, is that we have always been a city that serves a much larger economy. So we are acutely aware that our government initiatives can only go so far.
Yeah, that's really good. And I just wanted, because I was, before we were planning this program, I was watching one of your earlier interview, where you said you compared the financial services on macro level as a blood circulation of the body, that it circulates and it brings all the stakeholders and all the organs and everything working together. And I completely agree with it, because that's also one of the topics we teach. But if I proceed forward with using your analogy, as you can see from the recent Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC report, the body is sick, our economy is sick, the environment, the earth. So financial center, at least we believe that the financial center has the power and the resources to help cure the body. So my first question would be, do you agree to that? And second question will be that, you know, our show is about sustainability and impact investment in finance and businesses. What are the activities of FSDC on this topic?
Okay, let me first say, sick is one way to put it. I slightly prefer to say that we have beaten up this body a bit too much.
Yeah.
And so it's time to find ways to let it rest. But then again, one must go on. So the body can't completely rest. The question is then how to rejuvenate it.
Yeah.
And finance can do a lot. It really can. I still remember when I was studying in the US, a certain vice president has just come off his term and has made the environment his big topic post vice presidency. He was very, very successful at raising awareness. He mobilized half of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
he's an old friend of mine, by the way.
I'm sure you're not commenting on his age.
No. Unfortunately, most of my friends are of that age.
In many ways, the leader in this whole area. And he was able to lead a massive publicity campaign.
Yeah.
But perhaps because it was early stages, one actually see a lot of talk, but not necessarily a lot of resources being put into it yet.
Yeah.
And then I remember a Nobel Prize was put behind this whole topic, again, rejuvenating the whole talk. But again, we don't really see necessarily a lot of resources into it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
One would say the psyche, the global psyche, people's minds were prepared for action. Yeah. And then perhaps, as is always, the financiers come in at the last minute and screw up the credit. But one nice thing about it is the financiers were able to mobilize resources behind it. And that I often think is how impact finance has, and it's going to make a difference.